What's up, guys? Jay Martin here. Hope you're having a good one so far, and thanks for stopping by. So, today's story time happened around last year, back when I was still studying in college, which seems to be the more common theme in my story time videos. It was all back when I dreaded being in school, so I had to do things that would entertain me on the side. But, anyways, this was when I got caught smoking weed by my dad. I remember it being fairly late at night, around 9 to 11 p.m., and I wasn't expecting my dad to come over, alright? I really wasn't. So I was just being my old degenerate self, smoking weed, just gaming while blasting some music in my room. And whenever I smoke weed, I like smoking at least 3 joints back to back until things just die down for a bit. So it was my usual thing. I'd smoke 3 joints, and then if I wanted to smoke more, at the meantime, I just vape until the high goes away, and then I can just roll up another J. Now, vaping, no problem. I vape pretty much anywhere, anytime. But smoking weed, a little bit socially unacceptable, especially to parents. Now, I remember I smoked up at least 2 joints at the time. I was in the middle of my third, and a knock comes in from the outside of my door. And in an instant, I start panicking. I was in the middle of a game, I was in the middle of smoking a joint. The room was full of smoke, and you could see, when you're hotboxing a room and that thin air of smoke is just floating around? Yeah, that's typically what my room would look like in a typical night of me just enjoying my time back then. And my dad was knocking outside of the door. I found out it was him because he was calling out my name, and I was like, shit, what do I do? So I quickly did the only brilliant thing I could think of, and I opened all of my windows, turned on the fan, and hid my weed and ashtray under my computer table. Now, I've experimented this for myself like a mad scientist just by the sheer amount of times I smoke daily on how long the scent of weed takes to go away and to how far can the smell of weed linger from the outside of my room. And the answer is it takes about 5 to 6 hours until the smell of weed clears up my room if I were to deliberately have the scent go away, like completely go away, with air freshener and like having the windows open and have the fan on to circulate the air. And every time I smoked in my room, the smell would pretty much reach up to the staircase from the outside of my door. So I knew for a fact my dad could smell what was going on, right? So, all that long winded, I got my shit together and I opened the door as fast as humanly possible. I opened the door, my dad was right in front of my face, and I shut the door closed right in front of him. And I was like, hey, dad, what's up? Looking super sus, but when he said hi to me, turns out I smelt a little bit of alcohol in him. So it was funny, I was high and he was drunk. But immediately he started going, what's that smell? And I just went, you know what? I'm not sure. I know it smells really weird. It seems like it's coming from the neighbor's house. And he said, oh no, let me check your room. So I quickly got my hand on the doorknob before he did, so I forbid that from happening. I totally refused the idea of him getting inside my room in this really passive aggressive way, like, oh, let's just not stay in my room, let's have a talk outside. And he was just very weirded out, like, what's going on, something's up. But one interesting fact about my dad is that he's incredibly ADD. Meaning, if I could just shift his current state of this feeling that I was hiding something, which I was, and ask him a really engaging question, I could potentially trick him into forgetting his original intention. So I brought up, hey, how are you doing? How his day was. And I gently placed my hand around his back and maneuvered us out of the door to my room and guided us to the staircase so we could go downstairs, get him distracted a little bit. We ended up sitting by our dining table. And it freaking worked! Like, it turns out he was drinking with a few of his friends and had a little bit of an altercation with his girlfriend earlier that day. And yeah, he just wanted someone to talk to. Obviously, I started to ease down a little bit, got a little excited because I pulled it off, couldn't help myself a little. My dad was being a little bit vulnerable himself, but man, I was relieved. But yeah, I stayed present in our conversation, gave him the empathy and, of course, the compassion he needed. But had he entered inside of my room, the whole agenda for this night would have been completely different. Anyways, guys, just a little story time today. In my opinion, it's a pretty funny one, so I hope you found it entertaining yourself as well. Feel free to leave your story times down below. I'd always love to know. But that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoy and have an amazing rest of your day. Been your boy Jay Martin. Peace and love.